All right, up next, we're going to have 4 representatives from university blockchain clubs. First up, there's Wales Lee from CollegeDAO, Joshua from Sunway Blockchain Club, Wei Tan from APU, and the moderator will be Mario from Monash. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Hello. Okay. Hello, nice to meet you guys. My name is Mario. I'm the president of Monash Blockchain Club. And today on the panel, we have 3 of the biggest blockchain club in Malaysia and also Wales from CollegeDAO. So let's start with a quick introduction. Can you guys introduce yourself?
Hello, can you hear me? All right, so my name is Wales. I lead CollegeDAO, is the largest student blockchain club collective in the blockchain ecosystem at the moment. So we have about 100 blockchain clubs within our network. What we mostly do is trying to do activations at conferences such as ETHKL, and then what we do is we try to support the student blockchain clubs, connecting with blockchain protocols, and making sure that the entire university blockchain ecosystem is supported in a way that everyone can kind of benefit in a positive some way. Yeah.
Hey everyone, I'm Joshua. I currently run the Sunway Blockchain Club. We've got about 4. Is it on? Hello? Hey everyone, I'm Joshua. I currently run the Sunway Blockchain Club. And we have about 400 plus members now. We've hosted over 60 plus events. And we've got about 80 plus partners now. Looking forward to working with y'all in the future as well.
Yeah, hi. All right, hi, I'm Wei. So the new president of APU Blockchain and Cryptocurrency Club, one of the very first student blockchain club to be established in Malaysia. And I think coming in for me, this is the 4th term of the club. So yeah, we are quite well established and also a lot of industry partners as well. So yeah, I think mainly generally what we do is also trying to educate, especially like your typical student blockchain club. We want to make things really easy for all of our members to actually understand what Web3 and what are all of these jargons in the crypto space or blockchain space is. So yeah.
Quick question.
Mario, you want to introduce yourself?
Okay, nice to meet you all. I'm Mario. I'm the president of Monash Blockchain Club, and we're the 3rd biggest blockchain club in Malaysia. Right now, we have like around 200 members, and we've been actively working with a lot of like partners from blockchain industries as well. So, quick question: why do university need blockchain clubs?
Well, I think, you know, as a general university, right, you kind of want to make sure that your students are exposed to as many frontier technologies as possible. And like outside of fintech, outside of AI, and outside of other blockchain, outside of other industries focuses, I feel like blockchain in particular has been something that students have been very interested in. And within the communities of the clubs that I've talked to, because CollegeDAO has a lot of coverage within North America, Europe, UK, and Southeast Asia as well. Like a lot of students have been interested in blockchain, and they've been interested in exploring it as their career path. And being able to provide a platform, being able to provide a community with them as a local blockchain club within the university helps to foster that kind of like community spirit, and also helps them get their foot into the door and trying to learn more about the industry and trying to hopefully get a career out of the space. Yeah.
I agree with Wales. In Sunway University itself, we don't actually have anything related to blockchain technology as a course. And I feel like you're missing out on a giant industry right there. So as someone who's also working in industry, I'd love to onboard students into this industry. But the best way to do that is through education itself. So our club itself hosts events with industry partners and hosts workshops, tutorials to bring people on to this industry. Like an easy flow into it. So I think it's quite important that we be that platform for them to get into this industry.
Yeah, I think I totally agree with Josh as well. Because coming from my background is actually I'm studying fintech, and I think my course didn't really. I mean, there is still blockchain courses, but it isn't really as in depth, and it doesn't really prepare you to the industry as what is expected by Web3 companies. So I think having this platform for all of the students, right, I think is really a good place for them to actually skill up themselves and also prepare as a particular niche part in fintech as well. So yeah.
So if we build blockchain clubs, then we kind of prepare our future career if we want to start exploring blockchain, right? Hmm. So what makes you want to build this community?
Well, I guess it requires a little bit of context because before I co-founded CollegeDAO about 2 years ago, I was blockchain club president at my local university in Singapore called Singapore Management University. And I think part of the biggest reason why I really wanted to do this blockchain club initiative is more or less just finding people that I can vibe and also kind of grow with and kind of get into the blockchain industry. Because when you're a student and you're kind of exploring your career paths, it's quite daunting to figure out what you really want to do in your life. And when you're in a school environment where everyone's mostly just focused on their degree and you're that one, out of 1,000 students that actually focus on trying to build your career early on in your university life, it's quite hard to find other people with that same level of passion and interest in industry because they might not be actually thinking about that early on in their life, even though they absolutely should because a lot of the students that I've met, whether they're from Waterloo, whether they're from Berkeley, whether they're from locally in Singapore, Sunway, Monash, and APU as well, right? Like, there's a lot of students now that have been trying to transition more into having an early start in their career. And being able to have that community, having that core team of people that you can kind of rely on and grow together has been one of the biggest things that motivated me to be a blockchain president in the first place and then kind of leveling up myself beyond that to now be this blockchain club aggregator of sorts by doing CollegeDAO. And it's more or less being able to support, your friends along the way and supporting other people that's started out in the industry just like you. Like all of us here are students and there's a whole bunch of students here hacking for the hackathon as well. And I think you guys will understand that, having someone else alongside you, being able to grow in the blockchain industry has been one of the biggest things that got people into the space and even stayed for the long term. So that's one of the biggest reasons why I think I would really like what I'm doing.
Yeah, I think I came from a homeschool background. I think I started out homeschooled throughout my entire life. So I didn't really have the enjoyment of actually going to school. So what really motivates me to actually build this blockchain club, right, was actually when I entered my first day in uni. Well, not really my first day, but it's more like the few semesters as I was going in, right. Then I stumbled upon this BCC. And they just established, so I was like, okay, sign me up to this, right? And I was actually really, really lucky and really blessed as it was in the very early days as well of APU BCC. So they actually taught me a lot of things, and eventually I joined as a committee, and then they even grew me further. And because of this journey with some of the people, so big shout out to all the committees, all the ex-committees and the past presidents as well. They actually helped me out, and because of that, right, it really motivates me to actually feel like, oh, I should actually do my part as well. Since all of them actually groomed me, I should also give back to the community for anyone inside APU BCC, right? Anyone that is part of our members, and this really motivates me to actually want to give back and actually impart the knowledge to everyone else inside the uni club. So it's really good to actually good experience for me coming into this new term, and I hope I can achieve what I wanted to do. Yeah.
Well, when I started the blockchain club, I kind of had one main agenda, which was to change, the next generation stigma of blockchain and cryptocurrency. So when I first started the club with our vice president there, actually Asselbeck over there, we had this little booth set up with just one QR code. And we'd go up to everybody who was walking around in the clubs and societies, and we'd ask them, when you hear the word crypto, what is the first thing that comes to your mind? And people were like, scam, money game, all these different things, And, as someone who works in the industry, that's not the kind of answers you want to hear. Because blockchain itself is a beautiful technology that's, being implemented everywhere, whether it's a massive company or a brand new startup. So I wanted to kind of, change this whole wave of this whole generation before they go into the industry with that same mindset and, they completely ignore the beauty of this industry. So having events, bringing down people from the companies, all that to let them be exposed to what blockchain technology really has to offer was one of the main goals that I had for the Sunway Blockchain Club.
I think we can all agree that blockchain clubs is very important for all those students who want to start their career in Web3 industry and blockchain industry, right? But there is this problem where like universities are not really pushing students to learn about this blockchain, you know, like what's your opinion about that, right? With all these universities, they are not really supporting the students to start exploring the blockchain technology.
Well, I think that's a really good point that you brought across, which is like the university administration and the actual universities and the professors and the faculties actually trying to support the blockchain industry, and especially the student community there. It was funny to me that you mentioned that because like I've gotten a very unique perspective because CollegeDAO is global and we get a lot of feedback from the blockchain leaders within North America and Europe and in UK and then in Singapore and also in Malaysia as well, and like we do see this trend where there's a very big divide between the university faculties and the university administration from the blockchain clubs on the ground. Like one example is that I believe there was a blockchain called Algorand. They worked together with this university called Nanyang Technological University, and they set up this thing called Algo Hub. And Algo Hub was this like really big multi-million-dollar initiative that they worked together with the student administration. But when I was with the student blockchain club leaders and I was discussing with them like, hey, what's going on with the entire ecosystem, and then the NTU students were feeding back to me and they're telling me how like there's this big initiative happening. I asked them, hey, are you guys actually involved in this as a blockchain club? And they said no. That's one of the biggest things that I noticed is that like there's a lot of initiatives that's happening that's very segregated and very separate from based off the community and the actual administration itself. And I've seen faculty starting to warm up to the idea of supporting these initiatives, but I would say that I kind of understand from the university administration themselves, because from us as students, for us as students, blockchain is a career path that we're really interested in pursuing, and is the one kind of industry that we want to pursue in for life. But when it comes to the university administration, like this blockchain industry is just one of like 20 or 10 other industries that students are interested in. A general academic institution is more focused in trying to make sure that the students get past the degree and get past the very basic level of education they need to achieve so that they can maybe go into big tech or e-commerce or any other kind of like major industry or even consulting. So to the university administration, it might not be as big of an importance to them, but for us, it's something that we're going to be banking our entire lives on. And so maybe that's where kind of the disconnect comes into play. But I do notice that, with more and more development in the blockchain space, and with more and more funding coming in for student blockchain club initiatives and support, and also more blockchain clubs being willing to work together with the university administration and the blockchain clubs itself, like it opens up a lot more possibilities for the faculty to be more warm and open to working together with the blockchain industry at large. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. And the university as a whole is like a big organization that's, like you mentioned, they have to focus on all these different industries that students need to go into. So it does take them, some time to actually push forward a completely new line for these students. Whereas, for example, a community club like us, a society, we're dead focused on just that. So we can go maybe weeks ahead of them in what they need to do. So it does take some time, but I believe that our societies is what motivates them to actually push that further. Because if they see the demand from what our clubs do, then they realize, okay, then we know students are going down this path. We definitely need to start pushing it out a lot more. Yeah.
Yeah, I think as APU side, right, for APU, since we are running it for quite some time now, I think our supervisors as well caught the eye of. We actually caught the eye of our supervisors, and actually some of them are actually lecturers inside fintech classes as well. So I think as time moves on, right, I actually do think that they actually might say, hey, maybe we should actually bring in more blockchain courses into our classes as well, right? So I think part of our community as well, I think just some alphas, dropping some alphas over here on APU side, we actually might be collaborating with APU itself to actually have a mini course inside APU. So yeah.
Okay, so I think most universities are very supportive to let their students explore about this blockchain technology, but from administrative side, maybe there are some challenges there. But do you think it's more important for the the lecturers, the universities to take these actions, or student should take this initiative to build this community?
Like I mentioned, I think the students need to show that there is a demand for it. When there's a demand, then administration takes notice. I mean, administration needs to do what's best for all the students in a whole, but in order to know what's best for them, they need to see what's in demand.
Yeah, I totally agree with Josh on that. So I think for community, for us clubs, right, our main goal is actually just to bring it as much to the students and get them exposed. And I think as more exposure is actually given to them and they actually understand it, it will definitely catch the eye of all of the lecturers. They see that, oh my God, these clubs are actually so active inside the uni. Every week also got events, right? You'll be like, we're booking all of the venues, and then the student affairs will be going crazy. It's like, why is this club like doing all of these things every week? Then yeah, I think that will definitely notice as well. So yeah.
So yeah, I think like student initiative is very important when it comes to building these blockchain communities in universities. But some students are they are still exploring, right, whether they want to explore blockchain technology or not. How can we get like more initiative for students to actually start this community in their universities? Because I think there's not a lot of blockchain communities right now, and we need more in the ecosystem, right?
Yeah, so I think with what Joshua mentioned earlier, right, there's a lot of stigma with the general student community on what the blockchain industry actually represents, right? Like, all of us are here at this conference because we have something that we are interested in industry, whether we're working here or whether we're interested in kind of exploring and figuring out what's going on in the space. But, from a student, from the student outside looking in, right, they see all of these news of FTX collapsing, Luna Terra crash, and they get an idea that the entire space is mostly just based off of scams and like Ponzi schemes. And I think it's a little bit hard to break that stigma like right away, because you do need to incite a cultural change with the student blockchain clubs and within the students in general, rather than kind of wait for them to, maybe one day decide to care about the industry that you care very deeply about, but they don't. So I think one of the biggest things is more or less having a more systemic push within the perception of blockchain as the industry. And maybe that's something that's outside of our control, because it's something that the blockchain industry in general needs to work towards as a collective. But within the blockchain clubs, as like a community conduit for students to learn about blockchain as a space, right? It is quite important for them to understand and kind of destigmatize the industry, let them understand that like, hey, blockchain is not really just only about finance. It's not only just about Ponzi schemes and scams. There's a lot of amazing projects here like Manta, like ZK Sync, like Aura Protocol. Like there's a lot of very interesting use cases that's already being developed in blockchain. And it's more or less an onus of us at CollegeDAO, at Sunway, at Monash, at APU, to tell the students and tell the community that there's a lot more to expect out of the industry, rather than just thinking of it as this like a fintech extension with like a blockchain, flavor to it. Yeah.
I think it's also the job of the other communities to help build in other universities as well. I mean, Sunway Blockchain Club actually came up because of APU. And Monash came up because of Sunway, and then there's UITM, now there's Taylor's, everybody's starting to come up just because communities are kind of coming together for that one purpose of bringing the blockchain industry to students. So I think one heavy focus is that we, as communities, need to help build these next communities as well.
Yeah. Another way, I think, in terms of community building, right, for all of these blockchain clubs as well, I would say maybe one takeaway, as I've been helping APU BCC, been running under their community department, right? I think in one way is actually to make things very engaging as well, right? I think we all know that as students, we are really sick and tired of all of the lectures inside our unis. So why should students actually like join our club and actually listen to another lecture again? So actually our job as well, as a student blockchain community as well, I think we got to make things fun, engaging, and at the same time, most importantly, actually get them to actually know about all of these concepts and all of these terms and jargons that are inside this ecosystem. So I think in the future as well, for upcoming blockchain clubs that you guys want to establish in your local universities, try to approach it in a way that it's actually more fun and engaging as well compared to your uni lecturers. I would say a very easy benchmark is the minimum benchmark would be, I think it got to be more interesting than your uni lectures.
Yeah, and no Kahoot games, yeah. Just throw a party, let everybody come to the party, teach them about blockchain. So they get a party plus they get introduced.
Yeah.
You know?
Yo, well, so you wanna explain more about what is CollegeDAO for, the university students who want to start their blockchain communities? Like, how do you guys support them?
So for CollegeDAO, we're more focused on trying to support like student blockchain clubs as conduits for the actual student communities. So one of the biggest misconceptions that I think a lot of people have is that like people think that CollegeDAO is trying to take over the entire university blockchain space and act as this like collective monolithic unit. But what I've actually been emphasizing a lot more on is being able to communicate with the local blockchain leaders within whatever countries and cities that they're in, and making sure that we understand the context of how the blockchain club runs, what the student communities are specifically interested in. Because for example, right, like we have a very close relationship with the people from University of Pennsylvania, like the UPenn blockchain folks. And one very interesting thing that I've noticed is that blockchain clubs come in a lot of different flavors and interests. So if I were to break it down, right, there's obviously the blockchain clubs that's more focused on getting introductory, fundamental education out for the student population. But I've also noticed that blockchain clubs has evolved to the point where some of them have specialized into like investment analyst roles, trying to figure out their space in like the VC area, making sure that they get like deal flows done, working with VCs to get like investment memos out. And that's typically what the University of Pennsylvania students do under their association called Franklin DAO. And then aside from that, there's other really strong technological universities like University of Waterloo. Like Waterloo Blockchain has been one of the most successful blockchain clubs that exist. And that's because they have a very strong pool of like 100 blockchain club hackers that's hacking at all of these different conferences. And they bring in like tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars in hackathon prizes every single time. And there's a lot of different blockchain clubs that do exist within these specific regions. And I think for us at CollegeDAO, we want to make sure that we understand the local context that we're working with. We want to understand what the students within the campus is actually interested in. Because like for a university like APU BCC, right? Like for a university like APU, like students are more interested in finding a career. Students are more interested in finding their way into industry. But then maybe in a university like Nanyang Technological University, they're more focused on like research or in academia. So one of the biggest ways that I think I like to support the student clubs is trying to figure out what the local context is like, understanding how what they're specifically interested in, and then providing some advice for the local blockchain clubs to figure out like, okay, what kind of demographic are you working with? What are your students actually interested in, and how do you as a blockchain club help to build up that culture, not only within your core team, but within your ever-growing student community, for them to start getting their foot into the door for blockchain. There's a lot of students that want to become founders themselves. Some of them are not as ambitious, but they want to find their way into getting a career into like Nethermind, trying to do research, being a developer, being an investment analyst, being a business development, partnerships, head of sales, whichever. So it's more or less just figuring out what the general student community is interested in, and then helping them figure out, helping the student blockchain clubs figure that out along the way. Yeah.
When starting this blockchain club, right? It brought a lot of like opportunities for those beginners who want to start their career in blockchain. For me personally, like I gained a lot of opportunities when I started this blockchain club, and it kind of changed my life. And I want to know a little bit personal, like how did blockchain clubs change your life when you start building this thing?
All right, so I was maybe just backtrack a little bit how I actually started, right, and how it shaped me to where am I today. So actually, I started out thinking that actually like the stigma from Josh actually, where I actually, because my whole family is very traditional, and then they always say that Bitcoin's a scam. And then it's like, don't go into crypto and all those things. But I guess I was a bit rebellious that time. And then basically I came in and then I joined inside APU. And then I was like walking through like a club booths. And then I stumbled upon APU BCC. And then I was like, hey, you know what? Maybe I should try to see all my families are like saying that it's a scam and all those things, right? Maybe I want to understand why is it a scam, right? And all those things. Then yeah, and then basically when I joined, and then basically I just jumped down into that rabbit hole, and then yeah, voila, here I am today. Yeah, so basically I think across my time, I think it shaped me as also another as a person as well. So I think blockchain clubs, right, especially all these communities, it's also not just about knowledge. Maybe because I lack a little bit on the schooling experience as I'm coming from a homeschool background, it also shaped me as a person on who I am today as well. Yeah, so I think it's really important to actually find a community that is actually willing to actually groom you, not just in terms of knowledge about all these blockchain technologies as well, but also as a person. Yeah.
When I started the Sunway Blockchain Club, I've kind of had like an expectation for the club that it would be here. But after the past 1 year, it kind of went here. You know, I didn't think it would go as big as it is today. And I guess you could say, you know, I learned a lot of things, and I met a lot of industry leaders. I never thought I'd be meeting people like this today. But one of the best things that I've actually gotten from starting this club is actually meeting a lot of my committee. So I wouldn't actually be here today or where this club would be if it wasn't for, you know, all the people in the background running the community. And actually they all came out here to support, so they're all over there at the back right now. You know, so it's really grateful to have all of them over here helping to build this big club. So I'd say one of the best, you know, personal experiences from this is building the internal community as well. You know, helping everyone go up together.
So I think is to say that starting a blockchain club, or rather, you know, taking over my blockchain club in SMU and kind of having that journey lead into CollegeDAO be career changing and life changing is more of an understatement, I feel, because you know, after being in this like university blockchain space for about 2 years now, right? So when I first got into Singapore Management University, like within my first year, I immediately just wanted to find other people I could, you know, talk about blockchain with, and I couldn't find any. So for me, I was trying to find a place that I could, you know, hang out with other people who was interested in, you know, similar blockchain topics as I was, and then that led me into taking a whim and then applying for presidency under SMU blockchain. And surprisingly, I got in. You know, I'm a non-technical person. I take a completely different degree outside of, you know, anything you would expect from the blockchain space. And yeah, ever since then, my life has more or less been snowballing in the best direction possible. And I think this is also in part because blockchain as an industry is a very people-centric industry. Like there's not a single other industry that I know of where the relationships that you have with other people and the people that you meet has so much alpha and so much connections along the way that you'll be able to snowball your career into something that would make a lot of sense doing community work. You know, like something like this you would expect to be, something like this is almost inconceivable in any other industry, but in blockchain it almost seems as if it's second nature. You know, like building a blockchain club, building a community, even doing pop-up cities at different countries, like it's not something that is very common, but it's something that shapes the culture that blockchain kind of revolves itself around. So I would say that without the blockchain club, I wouldn't have got into the industry. Without you know, joining as president, I wouldn't have then snowballed into co-founding CollegeDAO, and without CollegeDAO, I wouldn't have met so many amazing people like Josh, like Ake, like you, Mario, and the rest of the, you know, blockchain club leaders that I've met across the world. And ever since then, like just being able to be part of this like huge community of people that genuinely seem to care not only for each other but what they're doing within the communities has been nothing short of incredible. Yeah, I definitely do think that like as a very people-centric industry, you know, there's a lot of emphasis on making sure that like you're doing what's right, you feel for the community, and building on top of that and making sure that like you're doing right by your people and acting as an evangelist, as a steward, as a leader for the people that you're trying to inspire and the people that you're trying to lead within your community is definitely one of the biggest things that I feel has like changed my life. Yes. Yeah.
Okay, well, I guess that's the end of the panel. So yeah, blockchain community is very important for you guys who want to explore the career in the blockchain industry. So for all universities who want to start building your own communities, it's a very great opportunity for you guys to take this and, you know, probably get something that you never expected you get, right?
Yeah. Please reach out to us if you're planning to start your own university community. I mean, you've got all the people who have experienced it as well.
Yeah, and if anything, if you don't mind me adding, right, like even if you aren't interested in starting your own community, like it's very important to just be able to reach out and, you know, hang out with other students that you know of. And if you are an industry protocol, if you are a company that's looking to get in touch, you know, it's a lot more important for us to figure out like how is it better that you can understand the university blockchain ecosystem better and trying to figure out how to navigate the space. Because, you know, a lot of the protocols that I talk to, like, they find it quite hard to understand, you know, what are the different kind of blockchain clubs and what they do. But I definitely do think there's a lot of value in tapping into a very young and very inspired and passionate, like, student ecosystem. Yeah.
Okay, well, I guess that's the end of the panel. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys for having us.